Let me ask you something, and answer this without lying to yourself. Are you heartbroken over her? Or over the version of her you built in your mind? That flawless version. The one who never betrayed your trust, who matched your loyalty, who saw you fully and chose you fully. That version never existed. And deep down, you know that. You just didn't want to admit it. What you're grieving isn't her. It's the fantasy you wove around her. Every good morning text, every memory, every look. It wasn't love. It was a story you wrote. And now that the story's ended, you're lost. Not because she's gone, but because the illusion shattered. This is where men crumble. Not because we're weak, but because we confuse emotional chaos for connection. We think our suffering proves our loyalty. Nope. All it proves is we handed over our power to someone who didn't ask for it, didn't want it, or didn't deserve it. Let me tell you something cold but freeing. She never changed. She just stopped pretending. The version of her you fell for was a mask, and when the mask came off, you saw the real face, and it didn't match the fantasy. That's not betrayal, that's revelation. And what you do next, that defines you. You can chase her, beg, drown in the what-ifs, or you can detach, cut the cord, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Detachment isn't apathy, it's discipline. Stoicism is the art of control, not controlling her, controlling yourself. You think silence is weak? It's the most powerful move you can make. Not texting her back, not watching her stories, not checking her page, not responding to her bait. That's not coldness, that's command. And in a world of desperate noise, your silence becomes a roar. This heartbreak, it's not the end, it's the opportunity. You don't rebuild to win her back. You rebuild so the next version of you doesn't break in the same place. You don't become colder, you become clearer. You don't become bitter, you become better. You stop chasing shadows and start becoming a storm. Because the truth is, you didn't lose her. You lost the illusion. And that's a blessing disguised as pain. If you're done mourning a mirage, if you're ready to face the truth, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I see through the illusion. Now let's begin. Number 1. The illusion you loved. You didn't fall for her. You fell for what she represented. She was the placeholder for your fantasies, security, passion, validation, maybe even redemption. You projected your dreams onto her face, and when she smiled, you thought it meant she saw you. But she didn't. She was never who you thought she was. That wasn't love. That was projection. She said the right things. She mirrored your energy. She made you feel like you finally mattered. And that's what hurt when she left. Not her absence, but the collapse of everything you hoped was real. Your mind clung to the version of her who understood you, supported you, stood by you. But that version only lived in your imagination. When reality hit, when her words didn't match her actions, when her warmth turned cold, it wasn't that she changed. It was that the illusion wore off, and you refused to see it, because letting go of the illusion felt like admitting you were wrong, that you misjudged, that you trusted too fast, that you loved too deeply without evidence she was worthy of it. But this is where your power begins, in the acceptance that your pain came not from losing her, but from losing the mask you glued onto her. The woman you loved was never real. The pain is real. The love was real. But she wasn't who you thought she was, and that's okay. This realization doesn't make you weak, it makes you awake. And from this point forward, you stop romanticizing lies and start respecting your perception. Detachment begins the moment you stop clinging to what never existed in the first place. Number 2, pain is a messenger, not a master. Pain isn't the enemy, it's the spotlight. It shows you where your expectations broke, where your boundaries were ignored, where your self-worth was compromised. But most men mistake pain for punishment. They sit in it, drown in it, worship it. Nope. Pain isn't here to break you. It's here to wake you. She left, and it burned. Good. That's the signal. That's the raw, unfiltered truth your mind tried to ignore. Every ache in your chest, every restless night, every time you replay her last words, that's your body trying to tell you something. You gave too much. You held on too tightly. You lost yourself trying to keep her. That's not love. That's dependency dressed as devotion. The Stoics taught that pain is information. Epictetus said we suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them. You're not destroyed because she's gone. You're destroyed because you believed she should have stayed, because you believed she completed you. No one completes you. You complete yourself. Use the pain. Don't bury it. Don't numb it. Study it. Analyze it. What did it teach you about your boundaries, your patterns, your triggers? What did it expose about your emotional gaps? Because once you face it, once you truly understand it, the pain loses control over you. It becomes a guide, not a master. Embrace the sting. Let it fuel your evolution, not for revenge, not to prove something to her, but to rise above the weakness that got you here. Pain is the price of growth. You either pay it willingly or let it break you slowly. Your choice. Number 3. She didn't betray you. She revealed herself. What you called betrayal was really exposure. She didn't suddenly flip a switch and become someone else. She just stopped hiding who she really was. And the problem is, you were so attached to the fantasy that when the truth came out, it felt like deception. But it wasn't. It was revelation. Maybe she said she loved you. Maybe she said she'd never leave. Maybe she said you were different. But words are cheap, and consistency is the only truth worth trusting. When her actions started drifting, when her energy changed, when she stopped choosing you daily, that wasn't a plot twist. That was the mask slipping. And you saw it. You just didn't want to admit it. You explained away the red flags. You made excuses for the distance. You convinced yourself that if you just held on a little tighter, things would go back to how they were. But that's the trap. Hoping a performance will return after the actor walks off stage. Here's what most men never learn. Betrayal is a gift when you're ready to see clearly. You want loyalty? Then learn to read reality, not promises. You want peace? Then stop rewriting someone's story to fit your dream. She didn't change. She emerged. And now that you've seen her, believe her. Her exit wasn't a loss. It was clarity. Now you know who she is. Now you know what she's capable of. And now finally, you can stop chasing the lie and start building from truth. Number 4, control is an inside job. The moment she walked away, you felt powerless, like your fate was in her hands, like everything you were depended on her presence, her validation, her attention. That illusion of control shattered, and you were left scrambling, wondering how to get it back. But here's the truth. You never had control over her. You only thought you did. Control doesn't come from managing people. It comes from mastering your own mind. What you feel, how you react, where you focus. You can't stop someone from leaving. You can't force them to love you. But you can decide how much space they take up in your head. That's where real power lives, in your ability to direct your energy. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle becomes the path. Losing her feels like the obstacle, but it's really the invitation to stop outsourcing your worth and start guarding your mind. Because once you stop needing them to be anything, you stop bleeding every time they choose someone else. She can walk, she can forget, she can move on. That's her right. But what she doesn't control, what nobody controls, is how you respond. You can suffer or you can sharpen. You can chase or you can rebuild. One leads to obsession, the other leads to peace. You don't get peace by controlling outcomes. You get it by owning your responses. When your emotions obey you, not her, not the past, not the fantasy, you become unshakable. That's Stoic detachment. That's real control. And it starts the moment you stop handing her the keys to your sanity. Number 5. The power of emotional indifference. You think being emotional proves how much you cared, that if she saw how broken you were, maybe she'd come back. Maybe she'd realize what she lost. But let me tell you something that flips the script. Desperation doesn't attract, it repels. And the more emotionally available you are to someone who disrespected your loyalty, the more power you give them. Emotional indifference isn't about being cold. It's about being in control. It means she no longer has the ability to shake your foundation. It means you don't react to her games. You don't flinch when her name comes up. You don't rage when she moves on. You don't fold when she reappears. That's not bitterness. That's strength. She expected you to crumble. She expected to still live rent-free in your head. She expected your emotional leash to stay wrapped around her fingers. So when you go silent, when you stop explaining, stop reacting, stop seeking closure, that silence hits louder than any text ever could. That's when she starts to wonder, not because you said something, but because you didn't. Indifference is your shield. It tells the world, I own myself now. That kind of energy, that's rare, that's dangerous, that's attractive, not because it's a game, but because it shows emotional discipline. And in a world full of noise, the one who controls his emotions controls the room. So stop posting for attention. Stop waiting for her to notice. Stop breaking every time she breathes in your direction. Become emotionally unbothered. Because when nothing outside you can shake what's inside you, you become untouchable. Number 6. Your silence is louder than words. She expected noise, arguments, closure talks, emotional confessions, a storm of feelings that would keep her relevant in your life. But when you went silent, that's when the shift happened, not just in her, but in you. Because silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon, a boundary, a statement that needs no explanation. See, when you keep talking, you give her space to perform, to justify, to manipulate the narrative. But when you go quiet, all she hears is the echo of her own actions. Silence forces her to face herself. There's no attention to feed her ego, no reaction to fuel her drama. And in that space, she starts wondering, why aren't you chasing? Why aren't you breaking? That's the power of withdrawal. It signals that you've reclaimed your frame, that you no longer need her validation, that her presence, her absence, her opinions, they don't define you. She loses her grip the moment your energy disappears. That's when the regret creeps in, not because you begged, but because you vanished. And the truth is, silence also heals you. It removes you from her chaos. It gives your mind room to detox. It turns off the emotional noise so you can finally hear yourself again. You don't need closure. You need distance. You don't need a response. You need your peace. So don't announce your exit. Don't send a final message. Just disengage. Go ghost. Go internal. Let your actions do the talking. Because in the game of detachment, silence is the final word, and it always echoes the loudest. Number 7. Self-respect is the most attractive trait. She wasn't looking for perfection. She was looking for certainty. And the moment you started bending, chasing, pleading, you lost it. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you stopped respecting yourself to keep her around. And no one values what doesn't value itself. Self-respect means you don't tolerate mixed signals. You don't justify bad behavior. You don't shrink to fit someone else's comfort. When you hold the line, When you stand firm in your standards, you communicate one powerful message. I don't need you, I choose me. And that energy? That's magnetic. People feel it when you walk in the room, when you stop asking for permission to feel worthy, when you stop negotiating your value. Because once you place yourself at the center of your own life, the people who tried to play you suddenly have no leverage. You've taken their power without ever raising your voice. She may not say it out loud, but she feels the shift. When the man who once begged her to stay now walks with composure, with discipline, with silence, that contrast hits different. Because she's not used to you choosing yourself. She's not used to seeing you detached, focused, and unavailable. You don't have to become ruthless, just become unavailable to disrespect. You don't have to become cold, just become clear. That's what Stoic men do. They choose dignity over desperation. And in that decision, they become the type of man who doesn't chase validation, because he already owns it. Number 8. The comeback is internal, not external. You think the comeback is hitting the gym, getting a new girl, flexing on social media, proving to her that you leveled up. Nope, that's surface work. That's ego rehab. The real comeback? It happens in the dark, alone, in silence, where there's no one to impress, just a broken man rebuilding from ground zero. This isn't about showing her anything. This is about reclaiming what you lost in yourself, your self-discipline, your peace, your focus. That's what she took when you made her the center of your universe. But now you draw that energy back. You stop reacting to her moves and start moving on your own terms. Revenge is staying the same. Power is transformation. It's waking up at 5 a.m. when no one's watching. It's reading when you could be scrolling. It's working in silence while she's out chasing attention. It's leveling up with no need for applause. That's where Stoicism lives, in mastering your impulses, not flaunting your progress. When you detach from needing to be seen, you become dangerous, because you're no longer driven by her opinion, her attention, her regret. Your growth isn't a performance, it's a lifestyle, and by the time she notices, it'll be too late. You won't need closure, you won't want her back, you'll have outgrown everything she used to mean to you. This is your comeback, quiet, ruthless, focused, and it has nothing to do with her. It's about building a version of yourself that no heartbreak can touch again. Number 9. The scar becomes the sword. What broke you can also be what builds you, if you let it. That scar on your heart? It's not weakness. It's proof you survived something that could have destroyed you. Most men try to hide their pain, act like they're fine, bury it deep. But real power comes when you look at that scar and say, "This made me sharper." You don't move on by pretending you're over it. You move on by owning the damage, by turning pain into purpose. She thought she ended you, but what she really did was carve out the space you needed to evolve. Without that collapse, you wouldn't be questioning your patterns, rebuilding your mindset, rediscovering your fire. The Stoics didn't fear pain, they respected it, because every scar is a teacher, every heartbreak a classroom. You learn where you gave too much, where you stayed too long, where you lost sight of your own value. And now you use that knowledge, not to protect yourself with walls, but to guard yourself with standards. Your scar isn't something to hide, it's your symbol. Your reminder that no matter who left, who lied, who walked, you're still standing. And now you're standing smarter, more guarded, more focused, not bitter, built. Every lesson she taught through her absence becomes part of the sword you now carry. So no, this pain wasn't pointless. It was preparation. The man you're becoming needed that cut. Because now, you bleed less, you see clearer. And next time, if there is a next time, you'll never hand over your power for the illusion of love again. Number 10. The illusion dies, you don't. The version of you that needed her, he's gone. And that's a good thing. That version was dependent, emotional, confused. He lived for her approval, bent for her attention, broke at her silence. He died the moment she walked away, and that death was necessary. Because now something new is rising. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being whole. You thought she completed you. Nope. She just exposed the parts of you that were incomplete. And now that she's gone, those gaps aren't your weakness anymore. They're your blueprint. You don't fill them with another woman. You fill them with discipline, clarity, and purpose. You were chasing someone who never saw your full value because you hadn't seen it yourself. But now, you've looked in the mirror without her. You've stood in the silence. You've faced the loneliness. And you didn't fold. That's rebirth. That's Stoic detachment in its purest form. Nothing owns you anymore. Not her, not the past, not the illusion. The old you. He begged for closure. He replayed memories. He waited for texts that never came. But you, the man standing here now, you understand. It wasn't love that died. It was a fantasy. And with it, the weakest version of yourself burned away. So this is the final lesson. She never had the power. You gave it to her. And now, you take it back. Not with rage, not with revenge, but with silence, with stillness, with a mind that no longer breaks for things it cannot control. The illusion dies. You don't. You evolve. You didn't lose her. You lost the illusion, and that's the best thing that could have happened to you. Because now you see clearly. You see who she was, who you were, and who you're becoming. This wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of your rise, the detachment, the silence, the rebirth. That's where your power lives now. Every section of this video was a piece of armor, a weapon, a wake-up call. You don't beg for closure anymore. You don't chase shadows. You don't look back. You walk forward with purpose, and every step is quieter, stronger, colder, and more respected. You've stopped mourning a fantasy. You've stopped waiting for someone to come back who never really showed up in the first place. You've stopped explaining your worth, because you finally remembered you are the blessing. If you're done chasing ghosts, if you're ready to reclaim your power, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I release what I cannot control. Welcome to Stoic Blessing. Your detachment is your rebirth. Yourself about becoming untouchable, then this is just the beginning. More content is coming, more truth, more tools, more power. So don't miss what's next. Hit that like button if this hits something real. Subscribe to Stoic Blessing. Turn on notifications so you never miss your next move. And drop it in the comments one more time. I transcend the game. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay untouchable. This is Stoic Blessing.